Hey everybody, I'm Nico.
And I'm TK.
And that definitely makes this X's for Comics. And we are super stoked. We are here today to rank all of the titles of the Ultimate Universe, the new one, of the Absolute Universe, the DC one, and not the vodka one. And we are super thrilled to do it. We have a ton of titles. It has been such a crazy
show over. We are now turning this into a podcast where we fictionalize all the flavors of Absolute vodka and do their entire fictional worlds.
Yes.
Including the insane crossover that Acai Berry has with Drag Race that changes the course of her life forever.
I cannot wait for Captain Morgan to get in and really start and Jack. It's going to be great. And now that this can't be played for anyone under the age of 21, okay, so I love the Ultimate Universe because I've always known the Marvel Universe, and now I get to know it differently. I love the Absolute Universe because as I'm re-engaging with the DC Universe, the Absolute Universe gives me an opportunity to compare the things that I'm already thinking to, like, other things like it. So, like, my question for you is, where are you at with these guys?
Man, I don't know. I was really relying on you not getting back into the Ultimate Universe to sort of sustain me and validate my uncertainty about. No, I mean, there's a lot there. I mean, like, I'm just never feel so bad. I'm never gonna stop saying the same things until there's just this monumental shift in the world. Like, their books are all really cool. It's the publisher. Like, it appears as though we are shutting this down in a few months because that is what they promised.
Yeah,
I'm sure we're doing something kind of different, but they can't win. It's their own fault, and it's my fault for playing into it too. But if they didn't shut it down, I would say, well, you guys said 2 years and you made this whole big deal out of it, and then at the 2-year mark you didn't do enough. And then if they do, like, if they stopped it, I would be disappointed that they stopped it because now it's not going to keep going anymore. And it is because, I mean, every time they try and do a companion imprint, a new imprint, anything, I mean, the original Ultimate Universe is the closest we ever got. And I think a lot of people don't remember or were not there for what it was like to live through it.
Oh, it was rough. And I worked at a comic shop during part of it.
Yeah,
and I worked at a comic shop during, like, the ramp up to Ultimatum.
Then that's where it goes bad. But like, the other thing, I mean, it's, for me, it always comes back to the thing that I'll never stop talking about here. Also, our coverage of MC2, which really was a different imprint. The little logo in the top left was different. They were trying to, it really is the proto Ultimate Universe, and they really did kind of want to give you the feeling of, you are not buying a Marvel comic book, you're buying an MC2 comic book, and that's a different thing. When we got to the Ultimate Universe, it was a lot more, you're buying the Marvel Ultimate Universe. Like, it is a different universe, it's a different number, and specifically different things are happening, but you're buying a Marvel comic. You're just buying a Marvel comic that thought about things differently.
Well, I cannot wait to jump into these books and start talking about how these books think about stuff a little bit differently. So I say we jump in with our tier maker, and I encourage everybody at home to start voting along as well. I think that the tier maker link should be in the chat. And so we can kind of start talking about these books, how they kind of change stuff for us, how it's the same universe, but totally different. And this time it actually kicked off. And the thing that really throws me off about it is, so when Ultimate Invasion came out, it came out right after John Hickman had just left X-Men. And so, like, I didn't trust him anymore. I didn't want him on any products. I wanted him to stay away from my comics. And you know what? While ultimately I do love me some Ultimate Universe now, this one is not the it for me. This is going to be a C for me. It's slow, it's paced, it feels like a best moments of Secret Wars, and I'm not kind of here for it.
Yeah, it's a C for me as well. I mean, it's a C, and that's kind of all there is to say about it. But, like, the idea of Maker, who is Reed Richards from the original Ultimate Universe, going over to Miles Morales and saying, hey, we're the only two foreigners at this party. You want to get out of here is actually exceptionally funny and really cool. And if that weren't in here, this would be an F. This absolutely bumps it up 2 letter grades because it doesn't do much else besides this. But that specific idea is very funny and like kind of cool and a little important. And then from there, it does just kind of say, and then the maker did a maker.
Yep.
Which like, I could have, this email could have been a data page. This comic book could have been a data page. Because it's going to then go back and explain what happened 24 times in the first couple months. Every single starting book will explain what is going on here. There's a lot of rehashing. So this was exceptionally unnecessary. And come to think of it, I don't remember a single thing that any person on this cover besides Maker and Miles Morales did.
You know, and it's funny because like I remember all of the stuff that Tony did as a concept because he's kind of Howard, and Howard did a lot of stuff in this, and Howard had an Iron Man suit, but it wasn't quite this Iron Man suit. And you know, it's really funny because when Hickman launched Hoxpox, House of X, Powers of 10, he had this moment with the Fantastic Four family, and it led to a mini series. And the same thing kind of happened here. There's that moment you referenced with Maker and Miles, and that actually winds up coming back up later on in its own mini series. Yeah. So it's really fascinating. And you know, like you point out, a lot of these people don't do much. This is something we've joked about is like, we're going to go and start ranking variant covers based on if they make any sense with the fucking book they're attached to. And the answer is almost always no.
Yeah. You know, this is the Illuminati, and the Illuminati once meant something and once were a promise of things to come. And now they are just the promise of the Illuminati being Illuminati in the book. Yeah, they're just so bad. But like, I don't know. Anyway, this is a C, and that's fine. We needed somebody to say, hey, I'm making the Ultimate Universe so that the Ultimate Universe could get made, and that's what this book did. And then we actually have the comics. So there we go.
And you know, the comics themselves, it's really interesting because the first book gets me so excited. I don't think it's S-class, but I think Ultimate Spider-Man is like an A-class book. Like, I love Ben and the Venom suit. That is like one of the coolest things in the world. I love the Pico tech. I love the reimagining of all of these characters. Every time there's a wrinkle and it turns out that somehow Gwen Stacy is a freedom fighter who's one of the Mysterios looking to help take reality apart at the seams, and she's working with Robbie, who's a triple agent, I guess. Who at this point just needs to be played by Carl Lumley. I really feel like Ultimate Spider-Man is an ultimate expression of cool in a way I wasn't expecting. J.J. Abrams just needs to throw some lens flare on it already.
I'm pretty positive on Ultimate Spider-Man. Something that you said when we were discussing these books was that you brought up how much this owes to Renew Your Vows. And again, Renew Your Vows owes so much to MC2. We always go back to MC2. I mean, it's my frustration and love of this book is like, dude, we already did this. Like, there is already a Peter Parker who was 40, and he's still alive, and he has a child, and she has a history in the Marvel Universe, and she's this cool, vibrant character, and we're on, you know, the 3rd generation of having Peter be 40. And I feel frustrated because Jonathan Hickman, of all people, reads old comic books and pulls characters up because he was there for their heyday. You know, that was one of the great fulfillments of Hoxpox, was him doing exactly that, just pulling a bunch of characters who we were like, we loved in the 90s. And so, you know, that part bums me out a little bit. I think that you are in the right ballpark with your A. This isn't the most mind-blowing thing ever, but it's really good. I think this is the correct vision of where Peter ought to be generally at this point in his life. So, I really wish we could get rid of the Amazing Spider-Man and just let this guy do the job.
Real quick, I need to correct. I said Ben has the Pico suit. Richard has the Pico suit.
Richard has the Pico suit, but Ben
is the baby.
Yeah, who just is showing up in books again, and also had his spider powers straight out the womb.
Also, Gilf Uncle Ben, who's obviously taking a spritz with JJJ, who is like...
Wait, what's the G?
Grandpa.
Oh, come on, because I was thinking uncle.
No, Grandpa, he's old.
He's Grandpa age.
Yeah. And then...
Yeah, those two men kiss.
Yeah, they definitely love to just get into the sauna and share each other's strength. You know what I mean? It's
Hundo P. That's
and
what's
like
going on.
It's beautiful because like J. Jonah is so avuncular with Richard. He is really truly. I really wish Ava Max would be brave enough to do an album in drag and name it Avuncular. I hate that, and so I am really here for this Mary Jane as well. Mary Jane and Gwen Stacy business women. It's like my favorite thing.
It is very Romy and Michelle from the other angle. Yes. Like they are business women who just want to be cool rather than cool women who just want to be business women.
So hard, yes.
But no, they absolutely would invent an adhesive together. They would be like, we found some of Peter's webbing and we realized. But yeah, this big reveal about Gwen. Honestly, you didn't mention the wildest part about it.
She's a Mysterio.
No. Well,
there's nothing wilder than she's a Mysterio.
There's one thing that's wilder than she's a Mysterio.
Robbie?
No.
Which Mysterio am I leaving out that's crazier?
Wesley?
Oh, yeah, Wesley is... Okay, so hold on. The Kingpin's Wesley is getting more play than Matt Murdock in this universe. Isn't like a problem for me, but from my heavy gay accent and gay gesticulation and the neck movement, hopefully you're getting Mr. Hickman. It's kind of a problem. No, it's great, but it's a problem. Fix it, please.
Who would you have write Ultimate Daredevil?
Me. Chip Starsky. Oh, he's already done it. I guess I can't give it to him. That's fine. I would love to put somebody, I guess, cerebrally challenging for the title on. I would like to see someone who would push the book in, like, I guess, places I'm uncomfortable with. So I'd want to go for an extreme like Ben Percy or an extreme like Eve Ewing. Someone who's going to make the book do things I would never have the book do. And I think that would be a great person for Ultimate Daredevil.
Okay, I like it.
What about you?
I should have had an answer for this if I was going to throw it out there.
Kurt Vonnegut. I would have Kurt Vonnegut.
Definitely.
Right.
Yep.
Would the adjectival form of his name be Vonneguttural?
It is now.
It better be.
Yeah.
Do you want to think on that and come up with your answer while I assassinate Black Panther as a title?
Yeah, no, I mean, the problem is, it's just like, who do I even like anymore?
I love the idea of Ultimate Black Panther. Like, I love the idea of it, but oh, you mean writers? I'm so sorry.
Right. I'm gonna go with Erica Schultz, even though she's, but because also I think Matt right now is too much of a priest for it not to be Daredevil, for it not to be Elektra. I think it would have to be Elektra, and then she like ruins Matt sexually in a kind of reverse Fleabag scenario. And that's how Matt becomes Daredevil. Like she fully makes him break his Catholic vows. And he's like, well, now that I've done that, I might as well fight crime. By Erica Schultz, pitched by Tim Crew.
I want to engage a little bit with the misstep I made a moment ago, because now all I want is Erica Schultz writing everything. I I don't actually hate Ultimate Black Panther, and I'm going to give it a C.
You hated it. You said you were saying nice things, but you were about to be reserved, which
Yeah,
yes.
I think the problem for me is Black Panther isn't even the star of Black Panther. The mystery is, and when it's not the mystery, it's definitely not Black Panther, and when it's not Black Panther, it's definitely not Storm. I feel like Black Panther needing to share space with Moon Knight has greatly compromised the efficacy of the storytelling, building a singular mythos. And then secondarily, the women in this title, while fantastic and incredible, are rarely represented by the nature of what the book is seeking to do, and it asks these women to continue to play passenger roles to a bigger picture. Now, while this is certainly a story about T'Challa, Eric in many ways, Ra and Khonshu, etc., the idea that there isn't room for female driving narrative in this is challenging to me, in as far as the Black Panther is capable of that as a title. And I feel very much like every one of these arcs really should just be two well put together issues. I could get a Google time flashback that would do a little bit more for the money than these 6-issue arcs are doing.
This and a few other things make me wonder if this wouldn't be better served being Ultimate Wakanda, Ultimate New York City, Ultimate Mutants, because we'll get to X-Men in a second, but like it doesn't feel like Ultimate X-Men. It feels like a great book. I'm excited to talk about it, but like it doesn't quite feel like X-Men. And this doesn't feel like Black Panther is in it, but this is really just as much a Moon Knight Egyptian pantheon book as it is a Black Panther book. It's got a lot of Storm. Everybody's got to be real careful when they use Storm these days, because yes, it is taken for granted that she is one of the most badass characters in the Marvel Universe, S tier, just the absolute shit. But sometimes that leads people to treating her as untouchable, or treating her as though that when you take for granted the fact that she's so badass, you kind of just assume that the audience is elevating her without letting your writing elevate her. So if you relegate her to kind of a B tier role in your story, but you know it's Storm, so you know your audience is doing the work for you of thinking like Storm's the shit, she's always got it. That's not actually, paying homage to Storm as she ought to be. She's a really tough character to use, I feel like.
Yeah.
But she's just, like all the women in this book are just kind of there. They're, with the exception of X-Men, no title has like a really strong female lead presence. Yeah. Every book has a really strong female secondary character, supporting role. Mary Jane and Gwen are fucking awesome, but we've only had one book that kind of starred Gwen. One issue of Ultimate Spider-Man that kind of starred Gwen, and it really starred Mysterio through the lens of Gwen, but there's 4 other Mysterios. So literally, even though she's the primary focus, she's sharing focus with 4 people no matter what. MJ really has not had an issue to herself that I can recall. Maybe I'm forgetting one. But like that's even just individual issues. No woman is running a book, is leading a book. And that could be a little more okay if they were leveler playing field ensemble casts, which is why I think to myself, Ultimate Wakanda. But as Ultimate Black Panther, it's not really a Black Panther book. It's not really a Storm book. It's definitely not a Moon Knight book, and yet it is very into the Moon Knight mythos and pantheon, which that's always a bit of a tough one for me. So in general, I think C is the right place for this to be. It's the most loving C I could possibly give. I would love to shore this one up a little bit.
And just briefly for one moment, Andrew, I just want to point out, Marvel doesn't really have a contract with Andrew Garfield. It would be Sony. Sony would have the contract with Andrew Garfield because Sony controls the Spider-Man movies. Additionally, according to Marvel, they're begging Andrew Garfield to come back, and Andrew Garfield keeps giving interviews about how he has several requirements to come back, and saying that if they want to play ball, they can, and they keep saying they're trying to get him back. So I'm not quite sure where he got canceled for anything by Marvel, but rather they're begging him, according to them and him. So I think that's one of those things where it's always really important to consider that Sony controls the contract in the first place, but Marvel is begging him to come back to Sony for the Spider films. So I just wanted to keep that out there and have that positivity.
And there are Avengers actors who are very pro Palestine. Disney doesn't always get it right. And it depends on who says what and what the film is. It's also, you have to consider that individual production companies have their own leeway and individual directors have their own leeway. And Disney doesn't always countermand people who make certain decisions that, might be pro-Zionist, whatever. But on the whole, Marvel has been pretty respectful of the Avengers, the MCU casts, pro-Palestine voices that are there. So that's just something to keep in mind. And I do, with Battle World becoming what it is for the MCU, I think they would be very pleased to have Andrew Garfield as an option, especially after the wild success of No Way Home.
Really love how you topped that off for me. Thank you for adding the additional components. Speaking of things that need additional components, I'm so glad you brought it up already. I think Ultimate X-Men as an X-Men book is like a D.
Yeah.
I think Ultimate X-Men as like a really cool American understanding of Eastern storytelling, refocused in a way that's like a little bit manga, a little bit comics, a little bit folklore, a little bit widescreen storytelling. I think it's great. I like the characters. I like the story. Really didn't enjoy the third arc. I did not feel like Dark Hisako Saga was exactly what I had been looking for. But what I will say is, because this is essentially a manga and there's like usually 3 panels a page, I could read 18 of these in like 22 minutes and still feel like I didn't get enough for what I needed. So I'm going to have to give this a B, but it's because I can't make up my mind about it.
Yeah, I mean, you and I are in a similar place. This, as an X-Men book, is not an X-Men book, really. And it's weird because sometimes it is a how the kids come together and save the world book. It feels like it's a really good script for an X-Men TV show, but they're still not X-Men.
No, oh my god, that they're the X-Men because they get X's on their tests.
Yeah,
because they're the dumb kids and they get X's on their tests. They're the X-Men.
Yeah.
No.
And especially like we'll get to Ultimate Wolverine, which brings in a lot of mutants. I don't know quite what you do, because if they had a better reason why these kids were calling themselves the X-Men, this actually could be an X-Men book. Like if in universe, a group of mutants that called themselves the X-Men had opposed Maker really early on and then really quickly got struck down and were kind of this urban legend of this group, the X-Men. and Maystorm and Hisako sort of started talking about the X-Men.
Maystorm, who needs to come to the Marvel Universe yesterday. Maystorm forever, Maystorm for president.
Yeah, Maystorm's great.
Professor Jonah, who's the funny little professor boy with the magnifying glass manga anime?
Professor Layton?
Is he the one with all the video games too?
Yes.
Yeah, Professor Layton, Nico Minoru, Professor Layton coming in with the magical change. Oh my god, the staff of one of the magnifying glass, and my life is different.
Yeah. I mean, it's great. And like, I don't know, it's weird because we get characters like Nori, who is or Natsu, who is Cyclops, but not at all, of course. And then we have Futaba, who is Rogue, but then not at all, of course. But then you have like Surge is just Surge.
Psy being the connected to Demon Days is insane.
Yeah. Armor is just Armor. Yeah, Kanan is the same. Is not the same, but is related to the Demon Days character of Psylocke. So it's got its own really interesting mythology, and it's X-Men adjacent, and they are mutants, and they are dealing with a lot of X-Men stuff. I might have maybe even called it Ultimate New Mutants. Like, it's not that it's not an X-Men book. It's it's in the X-Men world 100%, but it's not Ultimate X-Men. And again, like, especially because Marvel can't ever just sit there and deal with it. So they give Peach Momoko this book, and it's the only mutant book. It's the only X-Men book. Of course, we knew we would eventually get a Wolverine book, but the fact that the Wolverine book really has to go in and be like, and here's Kitty Pryde, and here's Rogue, and here's Nightcrawler. Like, here are the actual X-Men. Here's what actually happened. Because it was doing such a good job of not doing that, of not being like, oh, you wanted to know what happened to every single character you love from 616 in the Ultimate Universe? Here you go. Here's Ultimate X-Men, where we'll just give you one after the other. They went a full year plus without giving into that impulse. And then with Wolverine, they just kind of fucking blew it all at once, which is not the fault of this book, which is great. It is very tough being a Japanese language writer and speaker who literally has a translate, like does not speak English. I'm speaking of Peach Momoko, who's fully bringing Japanese culture to an American audience, that this is being facilitated through a company that just doesn't do that. This is not a manga publishing company. This is not a company that I do feel like we can say pretty comfortably that Marvel has about this. Akira Yoshida has about the same level of understanding of Japanese culture that Haim Saban did. Right. And it breaks my heart because this makes me want Marvel manga more than ever with Peach Momoko's writing it. But then a publishing partner would need to be in the mix who is a little more ready to put these books in the stories in the context of the culture they're from and the styles of printing that they come from. It is so good. It just is not quite fitting in as a comic, as an X-Men comic. So B is the right grade.
I want to have a bonus episode in the immediate at some point. With, I guess, is immediate, but because do you know what really tells me a sign, and Kevo, if you need to jump into my window to scream, Disney didn't say Marvel are the ones who should be handling Buffy. And
no,
they did for Star Wars.
Yeah, and we've talked about this in the past. I think another big factor there is they want to see if they can pull off the first successful removal of a leech.
Yep. They did, because they gave the Russos the Avengers, and that went just hunky-dory, peachy fine.
Yeah, but that's a little different because he still owns it. Like it so amazes me that we're not talking about. And I'm not okay not talking about it, but I'm okay with a few of the solutions. But no matter what, Joss Whedon's making money off of this show that Sarah Michelle Gellar is doing. He owns Buffy.
Does he still?
I mean, he did not sign away anything. I don't, as far as I think it would have been a big announcement if he had. He has to have an executive producer or creative credit on there. He wouldn't give it away, and he didn't sell the whole thing when 20th Century Fox bought Disney. He has to be getting some form of residual.
Because the thing I know is he doesn't solely own it.
Yes,
and that's the greatest thorn in his life.
Because he was also own
responsibility.
And I wonder if Dolly's still in the mix too.
Yes, she is. In fact, she is specifically involved with the. So those of you who don't know, Dolly Parton is like my personal deity. I'm very. Anyway, she's amazing and she's super connected. We've done all of her baked goods and now we're trying her instant meals. Because if Dolly makes it, I buy it. But that includes Buffy. So I really love the point you're bringing into the conversation. There's that article going around. How do we have a conversation about a Neil Gaiman TV show now?
Yeah. And that's definitely another tough one. But Joss Whedon is making some money off of this show that Sarah Michelle Gellar is doing. He is not creatively involved in it at all. And he is not J.K. Rowling, where he is specifically telling you, if you allow me to have your money, I will use it to hurt trans people. Joss Whedon is a bad guy. He deserved everything that happened to him. But I don't know that letting him have that money is going to result in harm to any culture. So it's a complicated conversation. It's too much for the show. But the point being, I think Disney is trying to see, like, when properties have an albatross around them, what are our options? And at this point, we could fall too in love with the idea of Buffy at Marvel and then discover that there is a problem, that Marvel can't publish Buffy comics. But letting Dynamite do it at this point, where it is not a reboot, it's Buffy and Angel, knowing that this the show is coming out. If the comic is successful, if the show comes out, if everything goes well, I could definitely see Marvel starting to publish the comics in 5 years.
The same way they took over the Mickey Mouse license and are doing all of this Disney stuff at Marvel. The fact that we're getting all of this Jason Aaron doing Scrooge stuff really seems like a wet dream written just for me.
Yeah. So, there is absolutely still time. I think these Dynamite titles are large. I think it's also to see what mechanisms are in place after. I mean, Boom published a lot.
Yeah,
it is a big publishing list. So it's really time for Buffy's third reset as a comic property, but I don't think it's the last one.
No, and you know what? It's kind of like, because it's become a name. And that's the thing. Buffy is going to be Buffy wherever it's Buffy. Even if it's Angel, it's Angel's Buffy. Yeah. One of the things that gets me about this next book is it's the only one that has to rebrand conceptually. And it's in a way that shocks me, because we've never started calling the Avengers the Marvels. So how did this become the Ultimate and not the Marvels or the Marvelous Ultimate? It's so funny, because it's an anachronism that this is, I guess it's not anachronistic, but it is.
It's reference. It's referring to an anachronistic idea that if this is the Ultimate Universe, the flagship team is going to be the Ultimates, because then the immediate thing that evokes to you is, oh, well, in the main universe, that's because the Marvel Universe, the flagship team is the Marvel. Oh, wait.
Yeah.
And we've never had a team called the Marvels. It's funny because we have a lot of Marvels. We've got Girl, we've got Boy, we've got Captain. And we could have a Marvels, but we never have. It's actually wild that movie is the only time we've really had it.
Yeah. And so now we have the Ultimates, which I'm going to do something a little... I give this book an A, but because I think it does a lot of heavy lifting. I think the back of the entire Ultimate Universe rests on this book. And this book, I feel like it does the, it's so easy to be the guy who's like, look how fast I painted this house. But it's the guy who goes in and does the trim who can't tremble ever. And like, Hickman is out here with this giant roller painting the house. But I feel like the work that Dennis Camp is doing here on Ultimates is coming in with that tiny little brush and is getting that detail work. Kevin and I were talking a little bit earlier today about how for many years, if you were getting a Thomas Kincaid, you were actually getting a Thomas Kincaid studio, and he himself never even touched the proof. He might have given an outline, but didn't do the work. And I feel Dennis Camp is the guy who's in there doing the work. He is the guy in there making sure every brush stroke is great. I am obsessed with Iron Lad and the Immortus engine and the Immortus Iron Lads now. I love this She-Hulk so much. I need her in the Marvel Universe. I think Cap and Jim's friendship is, again, those men absolutely know the feel of each other naked. And, like, there is something freeing about this title. The only thing I can tell you gives me, like, pause to anyone with pause is this really the second universe in a row you're gonna fuck Wasp like this?
Yeah.
That's a full stop. Like, they are poor Jan.
Yeah, that was a bummer reveal, which I won't be getting into. I really agree with what you're saying. This also is kind of doing the thing that I sort of have been saying that a bunch of other books need to do. It's taking a much wider lens.
Excellent. Great point.
It's not getting it, but actually it's doing both, which kind of goes to show that you can, but you do need to take the wider lens approach too. And it's showing us a lot more about the rest of the world as sort of experienced through the Ultimates. It's getting us individual Ultimates from disparate parts of the culture. So like Ultimate She-Hulk is from it's from a Bikini Atoll type experimental.
Oh, that's so much better. I was gonna say 3 Mile Island.
Sure. I mean, yeah, you're not wrong. But so we get this whole view of how the horrible machinations of Maker have affected people.
Mm-hmm.
And we have a Human Torch who is from the sort of shared past of the Marvel Universe and the Ultimate Universe, because Maker only goes back so far to start his, which we also sort of get from Cap's experience. We have an entirely different Hawkeye, which gives us some different stuff. We learn how Asgard is different because of what Maker has done. So it really gives us a wide lens, and we see a lot of stuff. It's more of a survey course, although it does really, when it needs to dig down and individualize, it has some really good issues for that. And so on the whole, it gives you kind of the most variety, the most expansive look. It's doing the most because we've only got 24 issues at best before things change. And it does everything it needs to do to get us there. It is never amazing. It never blows my mind, which is why it's not getting an S. But it is doing all the things that it needs to do to get this A.
That's hot. I'm gonna start saying that. What do I need to do to get that A?
Yeah.
Right. And that's I really like that the book just asks you, what do I need to do for you to want this A? Because we're both top readers. But no, all joking aside, I really love what you're pointing out. There's never that crispity snap, as we like to say around here. It's not that. It's, as Jajar would say, there's no babam. So what I would like to say about this next title, this Ultimate Universe book.
And by the way, this is the wrong cover. I apologize. Or we should have both. But this is meant to be Ultimate Universe 1 year in, which is the Nick Fury story.
Nice, great. Because you know what, that first Ultimate Universe one shot really is like the epilogue to Ultimate Invasion. So
that is. I knew I was as I was talking, I was like, wait a second, I screwed something up here. Because
no, you
when
just
I said
saw big picture.
no, I literally just looked at the wrong thing and took the wrong cover. When I was talking about how like Ultimate Invasion is just like the only point of it is Maker saying, hey, I'm going to do this. This book then literally just explains what he did. So there was absolutely no point to Ultimate Invasion, really. If you could, in a one shot, just be like, here's what it would be so much better to just like have had Maker's thing be at the end of a Fantastic Four book or something, like a thing that was already happening, and have him say like, when you see me again, I'll be doing some really fucking crazy stuff. And then start with Ultimate Universe 1 and just explain what he did. Because you have to, every previously on page, at least in X-Men, but in most of the books, tells you in one paragraph exactly what Maker has done. Every time. Every single Ultimate X-Men summary starts with Maker came from another universe and he started a new universe and there's no heroes and blah 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 blah.
But that's so manga of it. Just like,
yeah,
this is the big mythos. You should just digest and move on.
In one paragraph. We can get it to you in one paragraph. And so the original Ultimate Universe, which came out in 2023, is just a really good summary of everything you need to know to understand why you would be reading any of these books and why they exist. Ultimate Universe 1 year in.
It asked me a much less sexy question. It asked me what it takes to get that D, and it got it. I hated this. This was not worth the time I took to read it. It's not a book without value, but I hated it. And that's what we're always being clear about. This is how it is to us. We all work on a comic book series, Kevo included. He's just not on screen right now, but, contributor Tori, Jonah has manned the table. We all work on Kid Riot. I love what we make. There are people who don't. They're wrong. But I validate their continued opinion to think wrong things. And so we're never saying that if you don't agree with us, you're wrong, except when we are. But in this instance, this was a book that was best served to a 4-page end cap that was filled with what was actually going on in the titles. I actually hate those, and so for me to say that would have been better than this is unfortunate. I do want to stress that I am completely obsessed with the idea that we're going to see Nick Fury go through these iterations and grow. We're going to see him continue to try and fight against this machine he has become grown into. The bad guys won and they laughed at the good guy the whole time, and not in a way that furthered the story, in a way that made me feel like you decided to publish a time-by one-shot with a backup story that introduced what is ultimately an ineffective but mostly harmless Wolverine book. But if the best thing I can say about your book filled with a bunch of killers is that it was mostly harmless and vaguely ineffective, my friend, you need better killers.
Yeah, I mean, for one thing, it's the most obvious twist. Which for me, that's why it's getting the D. And I think it's very funny that we went from how do I work to get this A to how to, because it really did work to get a bad grade. Like this is not, I mean, like it's such an obvious thing. And I like what you're saying about Nick Fury, although we just saw him in Ultimates and I don't see any movement on him. So what are we doing here? Again, we don't have many months left. Like, it's going to be a real quick turnaround if he suddenly does manage to change. And so it's just kind of it's exactly where you would expect Nick Fury to be, given how this universe is set up. Then we get the twist, and it's exactly where you would think it would be, and exactly what you think it would be. It tells us nothing. It does nothing. And this is called Ultimate Universe 1 year in. And as I said, Denise Camp is taking a survey of the entire Ultimate Universe in his book. But his book is the Ultimates, and he is technically supposed to be focusing on this team. So finding a way to do that is very impressive and really cool. Thank you. Ultimate Universe is your literal chance to do that with a free pass, because there's no team involved. You literally called it Ultimate Universe. You can go wherever you want. You can do 2 pages in Madripoor. You can do 2 pages in Anchorage, Alaska, 2 pages in San Francisco, 2 pages in Boston. Like it could have been what's the state of the Ultimate Universe 1 year in, which would have been a valuable book when you have so few and you're trying to say this is a fully fleshed out thing. You had the opportunity to talk about any number of characters that it would have been interesting to see where they were in a world where Maker had taken over early on. And instead we just get this Nick Fury story that's fine, but it's not helpful. It doesn't, when we talk about value, for me, this has very little value. It has high quality. Yeah. And I know people worked hard on it, but what this does to serve me as a reader, to serve Marvel publishing this universe, is really nothing. And I might have appreciated it and might have bumped it up to a C if it was called Ultimate Nick Fury. Because then just leave the rest of the universe alone. But if you're going to call it Ultimate Universe, Ultimate Shield, exactly. If you're going to call it Ultimate Universe, I would like to know more about the Ultimate Universe, because I don't have a lot of time and I don't get a lot of books.
Which is where the backup story featuring Wolverine was such a confusing thing. I don't have a lot of time and I don't get a lot of books. So if your way to simplify this was make Ultimate X-Men, Ultimate Wolverine, Ultimate Winter Soldier all one book.
Yeah.
This is another B, and I want to say it's a B because there are S moments in this book. There are like 2 to 3 pages in a row where I'm like, if the whole book were this, it would be the best-selling comic in the world. And then there are pages and pages and pages where the quality is so hampered by the inability to use the people who truly define Wolverine. I mean, Akihiro being a fucking nightmare monster in the pages of Ultimate X-Men, being chained up, paralleling Jean being a literal nightmare monster chained up in Ultimate Wolverine. Neither book can really get off the ground because they're both spinning their wheels, making room for the other. It's seriously like they said the X goes in one title and the Men goes in the other. You can't really have a whole book if one's called Unka and one is called Annie, and like you don't really get the whole picture. And this book tries so hard. But is this Colossus evil? Is this Magic really an ultimate sorceress? Is this Omega Red really going to go this long without a personality on the page? I find myself wondering, if you ask everyone to spin their wheels for too long, all you're going to do is take the tread off. So what's the point of treading water this long?
Yeah, that you pretty much nailed it. I mean, this feels so unconnected to Ultimate X-Men, which is a bummer because like the whole point of mutants is that there's always a connection. Like that's always your family. And the bigger point, like the much more realistic point in Marvel publishing reality, is that the X-Men books are basically always connected. So the fact that there is not any, I mean, can I make a connection? Sure, but like there isn't one. There's not, the book isn't trying to facilitate one. This Wolverine is not reaching out to help.
There's more connection between May Storm seeing Storm on TV as a reference and Ultimate X-Men to Black Panther.
That's so funny. When I was rereading, I clocked that moment. And
that moment killed me.
Yeah, I was like, oh, that's exactly right. That's exactly right. Yeah, and that's like, you have these mutants across the world. Well, not even across the world, because I think they're in Russia, so like not even that far away. And I mean, this really does feel like Ultimate X-Men is Ultimate Japan, Ultimate Black Panther is Ultimate Wakanda, and this book is Ultimate Russia, which is fine, I guess. Like, I could actually get into a whole universe where all the publishing was based on geographic locations and who's there, rather than characters or anything. Sure, do whatever you want, I don't care. But like, Ultimate Wolverine, it means mutants, and this has nothing to do with Ultimate X-Men. But then it like has nothing to do with anything. It's just like, well, everything in this universe is bad, but Peach Momoko has written a really heartfelt story about badness, and everybody else is just doing action bad. So we're gonna need an X-Men action bad book. So that'll just be this, and then you know, Ultimate X-Men will be the weird like delirium of the endless of these books. Like, it's just the odd sister out.
They're kind of the Trixie and Katya of Ultimate Mutants. One of them is like really focused, and it's got a very specific image, and it's very clean, and it wants you to know that it thinks about every line, and it's always telling a specific story. And the other one's a fucking mess.
Yeah. You are right in that sometimes this book is like really staggeringly good, and I do love how little Wolverine speaks.
Oh my god, what a stunning thing to point out. It's a revelation in writing, really. It really is.
We have doomed ourselves overusing this man and making him so verbose. And all of us thinking we have his voice down. Even the greats, even the Ben Percys, want Wolverine to have a page of dialogue teaching Quentin Quire how to be a man, and then somehow it involves surfing, and you just realize nobody should be allowed to let Wolverine talk. So, you know, this really benefits from a big lack of Wolverine talking.
That was fighting out Wilfred Brimley was into, what was it, cockfighting or dogfighting?
Cockfighting. Yeah, the Jay Moore thing. Yeah.
Jay Moore, who married Nikki Cox so he could become Jay Moore Cox.
Did he really?
No, he actually was going to take her last name for a period of time. It was like, I don't care.
No, but I didn't realize he married Nikki Cox.
Yeah, he was married to Nikki Cox for years, and he was going to legally change his last name to make his name Jay Moore Cox. The way Don Glover made his
Dong
Twitter name for a while, Dong Glover. Yeah.
Hi, Kevo.
Sure, it was Bradley Whitford.
It was Bradley Whitford. You're right.
Bradley Whitford never once married Nikki Cox, star of that episode of TNG. Thank you.
Two men who, both of them, Bradley Whitford and Jay Moore, if they were gay and cared about how they looked as they aged, would be so hot today.
Eat. As it is, even when Jay Moore is iffy, They're still
very handsome. They're still very handsome, but they do have that very heterosexual, like, nobody cares what a man does after 40. And I just think if they were gay and they were like, oh, I can definitely still be beautiful to 65, the both of them would just be so fucking handsome.
There are times where I think about the fact that the elements of physicality we put on the gay community and the female community, we transfer over to heterosexual male superheroes.
Yeah, because
in a way that
heterosexual men won't do it.
Exactly. It's very fascinating that you bring that up, because I very much agree with you in a real world way.
Well, and you know, it's a funny thing of like, as I got past 30, I actually started to get really excited about the fact that I didn't have to get fucking ugly. Like, I didn't just have to be sad and let myself go. And it's, you know, it's nice feeling like healthy and vibrant. And I just see a lot of, it's really primarily heterosexual men, and it's because they don't have to think about it all. And it does take work, to continue to look good and feel healthy. But like, it's a real fucking blessing. And I get why we sort of look to comic book heroes and are like, and it's why I'm like, yeah, I want Cyclops to be fucking 45, because he should be able to deadlift 4 fucking wagon wheels on each side at 45 and still have that jacked body. And it should not be surprising to anybody.
Now I want wagon wheel pasta.
Yeah.
So wait, what's your grade on Wolverine?
Yeah, B.
Yeah, B. Okay. Ultimate Incursion Spider-Man. I need this. I'm giving it a B because I'm really into Ziegler's Miles Morales right now. Egregious that he's being called the Jersey Spider-Man. He's Brooklyn if he's a day. But I think this is fine because what it does for me is it reminds me that interdimensionality matters, and interdimensionality is a meta term here for me. When I saw the card and him throw the card, I was like, oh, that's the thing. That's it. It went in the garbage can. That's it. That's the moment. And I really got kind of in my head for a second because like Miles Morales is not the second Spider-Man, but he's the second Spider-Man that mattered. And it's not that when Dick Grayson stepped in for Batman, he was the second ever Batman. It's that he was the second Batman that mattered. And there's a lot to be said for this idea of what actually kind of hits and what doesn't. And so, I don't know. I think Miles represents an identity in comics that's really important when it comes to considering multidimensionality. And the Ultimate Universe was not the second Marvel Universe, but it was the second Marvel Universe that mattered. And so to be doing more Miles and more Ultimate, you need to bring them together in a respectful way. When John Byrne when Alan Davis redesigned the look for Captain Britain, he drew one that he knew was going to win, and then he drew 4 that he knew would absolutely be too ugly to ever even be considered. So the one that he wanted, which should win, would win, and then that was his costume for 20 years. When John Romita Sr. drew the face under the Wolverine mask for the first time and made it an old man, I believe it was Len Wein who basically threatened to fire him from Marvel and said that's the dumbest idea I've ever seen. Wolverine is 22 years old and an angry little hotshot. Nope. And it sometimes is that initial idea that gets rejected over and over again that ultimately does win out. The idea that Spider-Man didn't have to be this little white boy, but he could still represent being from a borough, being intersectional in terms of not just he's a photographer, so he loves the arts, and he's a scientist, and he's a teacher, and he's a superhero, and he's jacked, but he's a nerd. He's intersectional in a literal way. You know, when you read Old Man and the Sea, you can assume that Santiago tasting copper means he's dying, or you can go with what Hemingway says, which is the man's mouth is filled with blood and he's going to wake up to another hard life day. I choose to believe that the literality of intersectional that Miles represents is brought to new heights. It's brought to its collegiate understanding by continuing to use him as this cornerstone hub, this nexus of value for both universes. And so for me, this gets a B, but not based on the content, based on the publishing intention.
The publishing intention is keeping the grade high or bringing it down from an S?
The publishing intention being that Ultimate and Marvel exists in a parallel bound by Miles and his ability to come over, understanding that if you continue to do the Ultimate Universe without giving it Miles for solidity, without giving it Miles for legitimacy, you would be failing the prompt. By using Miles, by utilizing Miles, who already understandably is this for Spider-Verse, you're giving this legitimacy in a meta context 20 years from now when people look back at this.
So why isn't the grade higher?
Because it is unfortunately editorially clunky. It exists at a point in which Eric and Ro are no longer together. As a matter of fact, those of you who are reading Ultimate Black Panther also reached your Ultimate BP level like I did when they finally kissed. It took way too long, but now Ro and Eric can't be together because that's not who Ro is, even in this universe. So I find myself feeling like if this had come out 4 months earlier, I would understand it a little bit better. But now there's the problem of Richard, like my absolute favorite Spider-Man right now. Richard, well, second favorite because Gwen's book is so good. Richard and Peter are clearly at their issue 19. They're back from the trailer park. They're back from being on the run place. But Ro and Eric are in their pre-Rowan T'Challa place. So they're clearly before the rise of the Voodoo Khan taking over with, trying to possess the Black Panther spirit. So, like, the editorial clunk here is, man, when the mask falls off, it really makes a thud. And it's a little hard for me to understand where this goes.
Yeah, I think you're spot on. And that's really what I was trying to get to the heart of is like, you made some really good points about why this book is good. And so I was trying to kind of zero in on why it's not. And I agree with everything you're saying. And we started this talking about the first, Ultimate Invasion. And I said, like, the funniest thing, the best thing about it is the two people from the original Ultimate Maker goes to Miles and he's like, we are not supposed to fucking be here. Would you like to go home? And that's hilarious. And it's true. And it is a promise. It is pointing to deep Marvel lore, and saying like, hey, we pay attention to it. And I would not have, this universe could have continued 100% apace without ever bringing Miles into it, and it could have still been great. There is absolutely nothing bad about it. But putting him in does make clear that not just that Marvel cares about its own lore and like does want to acknowledge it and get into it a little bit, but yeah, it does exactly that. I mean, it says like Miles is important for being Miles and for Miles's journey, not because he is another Ultimate Spider-Man. And like, it's so weird that they're both Spider-Man, because sometimes it just feels like you are talking about two entirely different people that don't actually share anything in a great way.
Yeah.
And so like having Miles in this book, having Miles in this universe feels like having a totally different character, having nothing to do with Ultimate Spider-Man, be in the book. And yet he is the Ultimate Spider-Man that we got out of the original Ultimate Universe. Anyway, this is very interesting. I think you're totally right with the B. This is another one where I might have called this Ultimate Universe and zoomed out a little bit more, because it does zoom out a bunch. We do get glimpses of a lot of the political machinations going on in the world. And we see characters from a bunch of different slices of the Ultimate Universe. So I maybe in some ways wouldn't have focused on Miles, but I'm very, I'm very happy to see him there and to see him getting his due.
And speaking of getting their due, I just want to say that the Voodoo Khan are Shadow Weaver from She-Ra, played by Lorraine Toussaint. It is a study in the excellence of crafting a character. I actually hate it when they're on the page because they're just always so evil, which tells me they're great. My overall average on Ultimate Marvel is a B. I'm okay with that. It's meant to be a limited product. When it ends, I'm going to be grateful. Because I'll have a complete universe to appreciate, to digest, to engage with. I'm concerned that the success of our next topic is so limitless that they're not going to cut it when they need to.
I think you're right with B. I would rather, what I've been realizing this week as I watch a show that got 2 seasons but will be ending after those 2 seasons, I would rather something be limited and be done and do the thing that it needs to do than continue nebulously, especially in the world of comics. I don't know if this will go on. This might go on. But I think if they put a really good bow on the 2 years, at the very least, we'll always have that.
Yeah. Whereas I am concerned that they're going to beat Absolute to death. I I did reread All In #1 to get ready for this, and remembered that it was literally one page each, and then a shared page of the absolute characters. The All In special is an A, but the All In one shot for the absolute universe is kind of a C. It just doesn't do anything. Barely an advertisement. I don't even really think they had anything other than the hair is different in mind for the characters. So it's necessary. You need to read this, or you don't understand that they're all living inside of Darkseid. And just to remind everybody, literally, the makers of the absolute DC universe said they were inspired by what Marvel was doing at New Ultimate. So, yeah, I mean, the idea that there's a bad guy creating an entire universe in his image, it is literally what absolute DC is.
Yeah, I mean, I think this one gets an A period. This does kind of what I said Ultimate Incursion should have done, which is it's not really at all about what it's about until the last few pages. And then it never, for instance, you have been saying, and the only reason I've caught this is because you started saying it. I don't know where you're getting the explanation. I think you're right, but I just don't know where you found it. I did not realize that the idea is that Darkseid is the universe that they're in. And you mentioned it. We were talking about something else a week or so back, and you mentioned it, and I was like, oh, that actually makes a fucking lot of sense. And you just said it again. And that is definitely, they do not start every book of the absolute universe going, Darkseid went and fought the Justice League at the Watchtower, and shit got really weird, and then Darkseid disappeared, and now this book is taking place inside the Darkseid universe. Each book just fucking starts. They still have not really explained what's going on. And I don't think that, in this case, I don't think that's a bad thing. I think there's ways it ultimately might lose them, but it's not working out badly right now, because these books are also demanding a lot less that you understand that Green Lantern is happening on the same planet that Superman is happening on.
Is it?
Yeah, I mean, we'll get into it in a second. But anyway, I thought this this in particular was a really beautiful book. It was a really great end to Absolute Power, and a start to a new era. And then it just it kind of confused me and blew my mind and got me really excited for the Absolute Universe. So yeah.
And the Absolute Universe does have my 2 S's, and I think one of them is a little obvious and one of them is not. My first S is Ultimate Ultimate. I gotta go. Is Absolute Batman. Let me say why. I find it very difficult to give you all Batman. I've been thinking about it, doing some math. I've probably read, all things considered, 4,000 issues of X-Men in my lifetime. I'm 40. I've read 100 a year because I've been reading since I was Franklin sized. And, I definitely have read every issue of anything called X-Men, Uncanny X-Men, Astonishing X-Men, except for the current Infinity comic, anything called X-Factor, etc. But the truth is, I've literally read just as much Batman at this point, and I've been reading Batman my whole life. I read as much Batman as a kid as I read X-Men, and I struggle because sometimes I get these questions. We're watching something with Jonah, and he said, "When was Talia created?" And I'm like, "Oh, late '60s, early '70s." And I'm like, "Oh, right, I've read the original Demon issues." And then how do I hand that to someone? How do I say, go read this awful stuff from the 1960s? I just can't, right? And so, like, I don't think this is the best Batman I've ever read, but the fucking Bat Shield is an axe, and if you know anything about me, the hammer is my penis, and so, like, this is so up my alley. I love that the Rogues Gallery are his best friends. Like, and yes, Kevo, I did make everybody read Daredevil, and I'll never do it again. Riddler is one of his best friends, and Harvey Dent is still one of his best friends. Killer Croc is somebody that he literally... I can't even describe what he does for Killer Croc. Like, this book is Batman. What I don't like is this Bane. That Bane is so... The Trend Twins literally fused together a la a movie starring Dave Franco and Allison Brie. And then ultimately Bane's out further. His head is starting to look like a button on a fur coat. And so it's getting almost difficult to look at. But other than that visual tick, I think is basically the least effective part of the book. I just don't think you can comfortably come for this title.
It's funny because you're giving it your S, but you had some really solid critiques. I feel like I don't even have the same critiques that you do. I'm only giving it an A. It's really good. It's really, really good. It's... Oh, man. I live for Schumacher Batman. Like, I just live for over-the-top camp sci-fi Batman. And this is so much closer to that than it is to Nolan Reeves Batman. So I really do love it for that. But it really wants to have some Nolan Reeves voice to its Batman. And I hate that anybody wants that. I just hate that people think those movies are good or that there's anything of value to them.
Those two directors literally think that you feel that they are one fused director, that you think that they are Allison Brie and Dave Franco-able,
that's
is
two.
giving them nausea. Did you say that's two and I'm done?
No, very proud of you. I want to see if you can hit a trifecta. Good. I hope it fucking destroys the both of them. What's wild is I just don't appreciate Christopher Nolan at all, but I'm so excited for the Odyssey. That's like exactly the type of movie I think he should be making. I think
Christopher Nolan movie that I went like balls gaga over was Memento.
Yeah. Yep. 100%. Because again, like some people should not get money. Some people should not be allowed to have money. Money does not make movies better. Budgets do not make movies better. You fucking kids today don't know what it was like that people would shoot things on Super 8 cameras and they
Stop it. You're saying the anti-life equation that destroys Michael Bay. Stop it.
That film ever existed and some of you don't realize it. But just giving these people unlimited budgets, like they just gave that man too much money and it was the wrong thing to do. And all he did with it was rub it up his own ass to make the stupidest fucking movies humanly possible. The Batman movies being right at the top of that list because at least fucking Inception was about my favorite thing in the world, sleeping. But the rest...
You're going to say those Canadian spinning tops, the forever spins.
The second favorite thing in the world. But yeah, no, Scott Snyder a little too much wants to be like, I can be dark and gritty too. But I really like that despite apparently thinking that, he chose to make Bruce kind of a young himbo.
6'9", 285.
Yeah.
That's the actual stats they give him. 6'9", 285.
Which on 6'9" feels thin. It feels a little wiry. I'd put him at 320. But yeah, I don't know. This is an A. I mean, there's a lot that's really, really fun here. Yeah, we'll go there. We'll stay there.
Speaking of books that go there and stay there, Absolute Wonder Woman is an absolute treat. It's an absolute dream treat. I can't even. It's a great book. I'm going to give it an A, and the reason I'm going to give it an A is because, one of the things that a lot of people don't realize makes a great song is dynamics. If My Heart Will Go On didn't have that unbelievable, you're here, the big beat, the unbelievable swell, the instruments come in 10 times stronger. And when an artist covers the song and doesn't do that, the intimacy that creates by the difference of it not being there, but no matter what, you're affected by the level, creating the expectation. Unfortunately, I sometimes feel that Absolute Wonder Woman starts at an 82.5 and never deviates from the course. It never goes up, it never goes down. It's an achievement in artistry like I have visually rarely been lucky enough to see in my life. The cohesiveness of storytelling and character is almost unparalleled. But because the volume never adjusts, I find myself, it's almost like the problem with Maxwell's Embryo. You just lock into that groove, and the groove is so good you never remember to break out of it. So you're always going to be at this B plus. You're never going to achieve the A minus that a flaw would allow you. This book doesn't allow you to see its flaws, and because of that over-controlled sense of self, which is actually the opposite of the Diana in this title, I just feel a little ill-equipped to give it an S, but the highest A you can give it.
Yeah, I mean, I really agree with most of what you're saying. I will say the Hayden Sherman art is beautiful. It does not feel epic.
Oh my god, okay. I hear where I feel like it looks like it belongs in a museum. So like I think like I literally hear where we have different definitions of like comic epic, and I love what like you're saying. Did TK just quit the show?
So sorry.
Did TK just quit the fucking show? Did I just compliment him? Did I say I
trying
really
to pull up
agree with
reference
you?
images and I hit back on the wrong thing. I wanted to say like it feels like it belongs in a gallery. Like it is art. It's gorgeous, but it just doesn't feel big. It feels really intimate, and there's something about the scale of especially the first arc that I kind of wish that like Dennis Wen, who does 2 issues in the next arc, does the sort of
the versus
the Lady of the Tiger / Little Diana. I sort of wish they'd swapped because he has such
je ne sais gone. He has such a je ne sais gone that
I'm on a new mouse and my stuff is just all over the place. He has such a big style. I don't know. I just that has been my only thing with it is just I love the Sherman art. It's not bad at all, and it's not even a bad match. Like it's not even where I'm like this just doesn't work. It just feels a little bit intimate.
Wow, I love. Is it the dark? Is it the rendering of Jordi Belaire's like dark content in the color, or is it like is it the line work?
It's the line work.
I love that perspective. It's totally different than mine, which makes both of us feel smarter.
Well, and I will say it works for the flashbacks. Like it worked. I mean, like her whole childhood is so intimate and it's so contained in this like one little hovel. And like the whole point is that she's so maybe it might have even made sense to switch and like have somebody else do, but like when it's her versus the monster, the scale of it and the line work, it does feel just slightly it doesn't, for me, it doesn't quite capture the bigness of it and the breadth of it and the monstrosity of it. I could see Sherman's art working, because like even the monsters look cool. Like I could see their art working in like a eldritch horror, like a Cthulhu-esque story.
A Ghost Rider book would.
But just kind of when it's little Diana, huge sword hitting the monster, something about it just didn't quite work for me. But other than that, I mean, like that's so nitpicky, but I did notice it, and it's a really exciting book. By where we are today, I am starting to ask questions about how everybody is related and will they ever meet or anything like that. But I think it's pretty exciting that we're like 10 issues in for some of these books, and we're telling enough story, just like kind of not even, it's not their origin stories, it's like their absolute origin stories. It's how they are here, what they're doing here, that we can have a full, I think, year of publishing or more. And it sort of doesn't matter that the big three have not got together. Do not make a big three joke from Aaron Sorkin.
No, I was going to make a big three joke about Dave Franco, Allison Brie, and their one giant body. So nothing to worry about there. I really love that perspective, which is actually part of where I think Absolute Superman was going to get a B for me. And, you know, it's so weird because it's Jason Aaron, it's Superman, it's beautiful. Why wouldn't it get an S for me? Well, the problems lie in the gender lines of this book. It's down to calling it a fucking father box. I just don't understand why the definition of new is corruption of an identity. The things that make this book an S. He is like 10 years old when Krypton blows up. His parents are hardworking miners who are geniuses, who are held down by a system that oppresses them. So few books go out of their way to create such a depth of culture for Krypton. I am so enamored of his Krypton, of his Jor-El, and of his Kara. It's so good. He's so good. Lois is so good. Jimmy is somehow Gwen Stacy being a Mysterio, and I just can't figure that out. But where this book truly thrives and fails, the S and the D of this book, the suck my D of this book, is I meant to censor suck. I meant to say the S my D. I gotta go. Is the bad guy of this could have sloppily been Zod. And it's not. It is somebody who makes so much sense as a Superman villain. It's Ra's al Ghul, my favorite Batman villain, is the villain of this. But that means that it's not Lex. It means it's not Parasite. It means it's not Zod. It means it's not a lot of people that, if I'm coming, like my relationship with the Absolute Green Lantern, I'm fulfilled by the drop-ins. If I were coming to Superman for the drop-ins, man, I would be really disappointed.
Interesting perspective. This is actually an S for me.
I love that.
I don't really like Superman. I don't like the paper. I fucking hate the paper. I don't like the Daily Bugle either. This is an equal opportunity. I hate that everybody works with fucking paper. I get it. I get why that happened in
DK's anti-journalism. I
am 100% anti-journalism. You know, I get why in the 40s, 50s, 60s it seemed like, yeah. But no, I'm fucking sick of the paper. And so like there's absolutely no paper here is great. And I love all the things that you love. Like I love that he is older when he leaves Krypton. You know, I love that the exit story is really different. I like that they're working class people. I like that so far from everything that I have read, every time and been watching the movie too, the recent Superman movie, it's always even for comic book nonsense that Lois doesn't die constantly. Lois is in too many situations where human bones are just breakable and nobody has even taught her how to throw a punch. It's also wild to me that like there has been no story where they're like, Lois Lane, you are too often in danger. You're going to like superhero school and you are at least going to learn to be the best hand-to-hand combatant that ever lived.
I'm going to give you one little thing that does have her have that, but it's not talked about enough. So
Yeah.
Her dad is a general in the military.
Yes.
And so she does have, and I feel like maybe this isn't the right thing, but so like for those of you who've read Preacher, like, she's that her dad always wanted a boy syndrome.
Yeah.
So she's
And
basically Tulip at a newspaper.
And if she had a gun, I would buy it. That's the thing. If her dad were a general, and if this were the real world, she would just have a gun. She would just be good with guns. But we're not gonna like wild. Frank Castle can have guns, but Lois Lane cannot have guns. So like she's just not gonna have guns. But like he would need to be a general in a mystic army that did hand-to-hand combat. And so anyway, I just like it's why I'm just it's always like, oh, whoops, everybody got a power roulette and now Lois is Superwoman. That's the only way that Lois can have powers or like be able to defend herself. And otherwise I'm just constantly like, how is this woman not permanently concussed? And so giving us a new Lois who is fully militarily trained.
Highest Lois.
Yeah, exactly. And this Jason Momoa Ra's al Ghul is a riot.
Oh my god, bring me my son. Who is he? Me trying to get to Philly? He sounds ridiculous.
He does, and the hair is a choice, but here we are. I will be fascinated to see how this gets us to Talia and Damien, but I'm here for it. But yeah, I like this book a lot. It's really fun to me, and yeah.
You know what book I like a lot? Absolute Flash, or as I like to call it, ADHD on paper.
Yes, I only get.
I love this book. I love the art. Jeff Lemire is one of those people who could, sing me the phone book. He understands what I love in a character, the humanity that Wally shows, the avuncular qualities that Barry has while still remaining so Barry. I think the villains are really underdeveloped, to be honest. But the art is unparalleled. This is a great book, but it is teetering on the verge of a B. I need it to escalate, not depreciate the energy, because we're already so high. You got to bring it higher. You can't slow down from here. He's in two places at once, so I need the book to be.
I feel bad because once you started talking, I realized that I should have given it a B. I did give it a C. So here's my thing. I am embarrassed to admit that a character that I relate to very much because of the therapy issues of X Factor is Quicksilver. And it's not because I have a sexual relationship with my sister, which Quicksilver does. But I do relate to Quicksilver a lot. And so there's really only room in my heart for one speedster, and it's him. And so
Kid Riot.
Yes. One big two speedster. And I hate every person that has ever played the Flash. Yes. Yeah.
John Wesley Shipp is just so sexy.
Yeah, no, John Wesley Shipp is fine. Yeah. That one's okay.
No, and I think you mean he's fine.
He's a handsome man. I hate Ezra Miller and Grant Gustin, and I really don't like Tom Cavanaugh as Reverse Flash.
Ed.
Yeah.
He's Ed.
Yeah. I know it's a Jersey thing, but I don't care. Yeah, I don't like the Flash. I don't care about the Flash. I also don't like how they use Flash in DC. You're right. The villains are underdeveloped. I will say, I really, as you mentioned, the avuncular relationship, the idea that he has this person in his life who is looking out for him when he is in a very bad emotional spot is a big reason why I wish I had given the book a B. There is better here than I said, but I just don't vibe with it at all. And I don't know, man. I just can't ever care about the Flash, mostly because like when I read Marvel books, it feels like Quicksilver fights very fast, and like he will do a lot of martial arts moves very fast to hurt somebody, or he will disarm all of the people. It literally seems like when they're all like, oh no, the villains have come, Flash goes, I will just run very fast, period. No purpose in mind, I'm just gonna run really, really fast, and somehow that will definitely help.
You didn't know that gay kid on track?
No,
weren't you that gay kid on track?
No, we didn't have a track team, and I didn't start running. I only started running to not be so fat, and I only got fast in the last 10 years, and I'm still not even that fast.
Well, I'm so sorry. I guess you're impulse control then.
But yeah, I've never really seen a convincing issue of a book where they're like, Flash, use your super speed to fight people, and he does it. He just literally runs. There, just as soon as the fighting, he doesn't even run away from the fight. He just is running. He comes back a lot, like because he circles the whole earth many times.
But he's like running to activate other powers.
What are they? What are we doing here? So anyway, I just don't care for this character.
I'm gonna level with you. I love your take on it because I have a different relationship with Flash. I see Flash as the guy that comes in and is Hal's good buddy. I see so Ollie and Hal are best friends, but Kyle and Wally are best friends. So like it's a little different, and I see Flashes as the guys that come in and say, hey man, it's not all about willpower. Sometimes you just need somebody who has that little extra charge. And so like I see them differently. But that really does lead into my relationship with Absolute Green Lantern, which I think is a fantastic book. But I can't separate what I think is fantastic from loving Joe, from loving John, from loving Hal, loving Guy. I hate Guy, but I love Guy. He's a Green Lantern. I genuinely love, as you know, Black Hand is my favorite Green Lantern villain, because Sinestro isn't a villain, get it right. And I love that Hal has the Black Hand instead of being Parallax. I love that the Black Hand is a voice the way it is in regular continuity. But I don't know what I love of this and what is a good book, because it seems like Al Ewing and I have the exact same Green Lantern fandom, down to mentioning the era when Hal was a toy maker. So, sorry, a door-to-door toy salesman, which I definitely just called a door-to-door store salesman. Now that I've Brited the whole thing, wait, do you think it's a good book? Do you? No matter what, the art is stunning. The art is so stupid good. It's off the table for me to consider is not great. But like, is the story good?
I'm gonna go back a step. The art, it's not that it's bad. It might even have to do with like paneling and inking, but there is a quality to it. I remember way back in the day, so this has to be 2006 maybe.
That's pretty boring this way.
I have been a Coheed and Cambria fan since Second Stage Turbine Blade came out, and not long after that somebody started telling me that it's like the albums are a space opera, and I spent the next 4 years on forums like deciphering lyrics with people, trying to understand the story of Coheed and Cambria. And then around 2006, the first Coheed and Cambria comic book comes out, and it was like they're on a Kickstarter now that like they're publishing huge amounts of content, and it's all really, really good. Back in the day, it was 2 issues by, I want to say, Wes Abbott. And they had a really, so the point I'm getting to is 2006, all of my friends were in bands. All of my friends were like multimedia artists. And I had this moment reading the Coheed and Cambria comic where I was like, I'm so amazed to see this. It feels really good to know that this isn't anything that I couldn't make. And like that I couldn't find like kind of a college age artist at the Maine College of Art to draw my crazy ideas into a comic. This just sort of has the feel of that. It's not that Janelle Lindsay's art isn't amazing. It's that I think the biggest part about it is it's the really it's the multiple pages that are just 2 panels, 3 panels.
It's the same thing I dinged over in Ultimate X-Men, so I can't not give you the credit for your terrific point here. Yeah, sometimes it's not enough on a page.
Yeah, and I mean, it just in a way that kind of seems like, well, you know, we're only in high school. We couldn't do these crazy page arcs that you do when a professional, when you make a professional comic. There's just something about it that feels a little, I don't know, like just, I don't want to say amateurish because it's not a thing that most amateurs could do, but it feels really
accessible, overly accessible. Fast walking pedestrian.
I like that. So that's the art. There's just something going on with the art that is a little weird for me. I will definitely say that. As far as the story goes, I keep having to remind myself that we're in a bottle episode bubble story. And we're 5 issues in, and Wonder Woman is 10 issues in.
Yeah.
So I gotta let this go a little bit. But I'm feeling very contained in the bottle right now. And the thing about the Green Lanterns is they are uncontainable. They are everywhere. They are the heroes that just you take for granted. It's by rote that they literally just jump up and go to space.
Yep.
Their boss calls them, and that means I'm leaving Earth and going to, like, even when Superman goes to space, people are like, you know, the hero of Metropolis is so amazing that he can go to space. Nobody's impressed when a Green Lantern goes to space. That's going to your 5 a.m. meeting.
It's sort of like when your friend is a fireman and you're setting off fireworks in your backyard and goes, hold on, I'm in charge. That's the Green Lantern in any situation with air.
Yeah. So that we are contained in a town, usually like right outside of a bar or in the bar, it's feeling stifling, but we're only 5 in. I feel like we can get out by 10 and I shouldn't complain. Other than that, this one feels the most like it's going, but isn't it weird that it's not like it is in the other universe? And I love that Absolute hasn't been doing that. So I don't love that this one is doing it so much. Last point, I feel like this is a me thing, so I'm not dinging the book for it. I have no idea what's going on.
I don't either, and
Okay.
I think I understand everything they're referencing. So that is definitely one of those. I did think it, and that's why I even started this with. Is this? I love this topic too much. They're making such cool references to minor things, and it's like part of what helped me understand that I think I love this book too much is, I'll be honest, I know exactly enough to fill a baby shoe when it comes to the Martian Manhunter. I know he's the last of the Time Lords or something, and life's always hard or whatever, and he misses his pointy-headed wife who looks basically like Jane Curtin from the Coneheads with verdigris, and his kids are dead. That's sad, short. And so I know nothing of this character, and this Martian Manhunter title is truly Pete Milligan's Shade the Changing Man against the original character concept from the 1970s. I feel like this is, and please remember, this man is dead. The man that I'm about to talk about, he's dead. So when you hear that he's still alive, you're wrong. Before he literally fell into the pits of hell, Warren Ellis wrote a really good book called Fell. And it was drawn by the unforgettable Ben Templesmith, who created one of the most frightening universes of all time. This is the best detective comic I have read since Fell. This is, I think, Absolute Martian Manhunter is an S. I think it's an S in a world of A's. I think this book makes me think I'm reading comics wrong. I love how stupid I feel, and then how smart I feel, and then how conflicted I feel about it. This book is about an unreliable narrator slowly losing his mind. Or is it? Is the Martian real? And has it always been real? And did everybody else finally realize? Did they hit their heads, or did he? I love the art on this book. I love the storytelling, and I love what I don't know. And that's Dennis Camp again. Blew my mind. This book is a revelation in an unbelievable line to begin with. I think this book is an S. And I could change my mind next issue because it's that kind of title. But what I'm getting in unbelievable quality.
Yep, this is my other S. This is an incredible book. The artwork is fantastic. I mean, I'll end up repeating a lot of what you said. The art is really fantastic. The unreliable narrator is amazing. I mean, like, I know Martian Manhunter like primarily from Justice League Unlimited. And so part of me is like, oh, is this guy John Jones? And he is going to eventually realize that he's the shape-shifting alien and like it just needs to break out of him. But then I'm like, no, this book is so much more than that. And there's also like another thing called a Manhunter in the DC universe. Which, like, anyway, so it's this one is the most exciting to me. I give Superman an S because I'm enjoying it. I think if you were like, okay, but like, is it? You could definitely talk me down to even as low as a B. I just am having a lot of fun with it. It's engaging me the most, and like it's fun to finally not roll my eyes at a Superman. This, I think, objectively is a phenomenal book that, like, I think I would argue in a court of law is really good. Like, I think that we should all be on the same page about this. It's fascinating. It's beautiful. If I had to give it a ding, it's the ding for everything here, but it stands out with this book especially, which is for the life of me, cannot imagine how this would sync up with the rest of the things that are going on here. Or like, if, as I said at the beginning, if it is true what you were saying, that this universe is Darkseid, that, it's all happening inside Darkseid somehow, I don't know how that will ever come up in this book in a way that is anything. And that's not even a ding, because if it had to and they did it right, it would probably blow my fucking brain out of its head.
If the final arc of Preacher was basically Father Dowling mysteries, yeah, it could have landed.
Right. So yeah, in general, that's the one thing with Absolute is I have no idea where it's going, and I have no idea how long we'll be falling in love with these characters before they get folded into the newer 52 and, you know, just get sort of flattened out. Will they always exist? Will they ever meet their counterparts? I have so many questions, but I'm good to let this one go for a while. The Ultimate Universe they almost made it 10 years.
Yeah.
It almost made it a full 10. I would let this one go 10 unmolested, like unrequired to do much phasing in with the other DC universe. I might have them meet a couple of times, have some key characters be aware that this universe exists, meet their counterparts or whatever, but I could let this one go for a while. Especially if it remained relatively isolated. I'm not worried yet, but we'll definitely see. When we just got the announcement yesterday or this week that we're soon to meet Ultimate Green Arrow. So, you know, we're still going.
And like you've mentioned a few times, we have Ultimate Marvel Endgame coming up, which very good for them utilizing Endgame and that cover. Yep. Whatever intern went to just use what works school, congratulations, you definitely earned your
the right
baseline. Your baseline salary. Good job. They've announced that DC is getting absolute bad guys or whatever. You know, Kevin Weissman is out there going, I started naming things bad guys years ago, you guys. It looks cool. It looks fun. You know, evidently my ultimate grade is a B, but my absolute grade is an A. And I think time will reverse them because I believe ultimate will end and absolute won't. And I believe because of that, the cohesivity of the line is already up for debate. We know that ultimate is supposedly ending in some regard, so I feel pretty confident that that's going to reach a conclusion without new titles being launched. Whereas we already know Ultimate Green Arrow is Batman. Sorry, Absolute Green Arrow is going to be a billionaire who is secretly a crime fighter at night. And so they're literally giving him the DC CW treatment of the character since Batman didn't get that treatment. And so I already feel like we're endangering the quality and cohesive value of the line for me as a reader. But I don't think that's necessarily going to be the case. I think it is a very likely case based on publishing history.
It's a big ass danger.
Yeah. What final thoughts? Hit me, give me, feed me, thoughts.
Yeah, like I said, it's Marvel's own fault for putting me in this position, but they can't win with me. If they end this universe like they said they wanted to, I'm going to wish that there were more because there was so much to develop and so much more that could have happened. If they don't end it like they said they were going to do, I'm going to call them little sneak rats who didn't end the thing they said they were going to end. This is their own fault because they never set proper expectations with us. They develop good things and then blow them. They develop bad things and they keep them going for 40 issues. So I never know what to expect. I never know what I'm allowed to hope for. The Ultimate Universe is a good one. Ultimately, I'm probably more leaning on the side of let's just end it, especially because we just saw this week the thing that you pointed to, which is like we got Ultimate is very serious about the fact that each month that passes in publishing is a month in the universe. And there have been a bunch of these throughout, but the really glaringly noticeable one was Incursion starts before the point in Ultimate Spider-Man where it has to be. Yeah. So we're already in a dumb comics place, and you can never get out of dumb comics places. No matter how hard you try, no matter how much you promise that this one's going to be different, this one is not going to have the same problems with continuity. We always fall into the same traps. We can't help it. It's the medium. It's not anything else. There's no point in trying to fight against it. Don't ever make the promise. You can't ever keep it. And so now that we're starting to see it, maybe we just let things go. But is there like a secret third thing where we can somehow have this universe? I don't know, but it'd be fun.
Honestly, if the Amalgam universe existed and they, we started this project because we doggedly wanted to do this, and it was just a matter of like, I would suggest it at this time, you would suggest it at that time. It finally lined up. It was finally here. We were both so excited. We're both so ready. And then they announced that they're going to do the Omnis. So we wait so that we can grab the Omnis. Then the Omnis sell out overnight, and the Marvel vs. DC Omnibus with the Amalgam material, it started going for $1,000 the next day because it's sold out in the first day of printing. Fuck. So now we put it off a little bit more. We time it out. We make a schedule. Batman, Deadpool, which TK sent me an amazing Russell Dauterman cover while we were on air. And at the same time, now all of a sudden in October, we're getting the first ever Amalgam facsimile edition with Spider-Boy being reprinted. And I find myself saying, this is the moment. They might be doing it. They might go for something crazy. They might try maybe a 6-issue miniseries set in the universe of Amalgam. But remember, each Amalgam title was kind of its own thing. So who knows? But I think that we do need that sweet spot third thing. We need that magical moment that makes it all possible. I loved this experiment. I loved what we talked about. I would love your final thoughts and where we could find you.
Final thoughts, just a big we'll see. The next year will be very interesting for both of these titles. Much more in the short term for Ultimate, much more in the long term for Absolute. Because like I said, some of these, none of these have had a year. Some of these have only had 5 issues. And the ones that have had 10 issues, it took those 10, like they needed all 10 of them, and they'll need more. So I have definitely not loved Flash, and Green Lantern is a little inscrutable for me, and at issue 10 I might just be feeling completely differently, so I'm excited about that, and equally interested to see how I feel about the big 3 at issues 15. So if you'd like to talk to me about those or my hopes for the Ultimate Universe once Endgame is done, you know where to find me. It's TK Accidental on all your socials. Nico, final thoughts, and where can we find you?
I gave them. You let me do so many wonderful ramp-ups. I could not possibly do anything but get off this freeway of love. You can check me out, Nico Action, at ICOACTION, Nico Action Music at ICOACTIONMUSIC. You guys can check us out talking about Fantastic Four tomorrow. Don't forget to check out the amazing Amalgam bonus episode over on the podcast for the show. That's right here on YouTube, X is for show. Also, podcast, X is for show, HTML. But if you want to check out that bonus episode of the comics, that's X is for comics over at cageclub.me. Keep your eyes peeled, your ears open, because we love you guys. We want to see you like, comment, and subscribe, because what you guys think, it really rocks our world, and we definitely want to be there with you and for you and know what you want us to cover. So do 3 things for us as well. Number 1, please stay safe. Crazy world out there. We don't all got a Spider-Boy getting reprinted in October to take care of us. Number 2, be brave, because we love who you are. But number 3, evolve daily. Yesterday, amazing. Today, incredible. Tomorrow is the dream, and we cannot wait to see you then. So bye!